Should homework be eliminated because it does not improve student learning? That is the question I will be discussing and diving into as I go through this PowerPoint presentation. A little background knowledge on homework. Homework is a tool assigned by teachers given to students to complete usually within a 24-hour period. This time period is usually meaning that students have to complete it outside of school hours and in their evening/free time that they have at home. The homework will cover topics learned in class that day, and students are expected to complete it to full completion with best quality work and ideally correct answers. It is usually due at the beginning of the next class the following day. Homework was designed to be used as a checkpoint for questions to check if students were understanding and comprehending the newly taught knowledge. Homework has always been, for the most part, a graded piece that will affect a student's overall grade. Homework, though usually worth small points, such as 10 to 15 points, can add up over the course of a semester or year. These points have big impacts on students' overall grades that they take in a course, though they don't always reflect the student's work. So the question of whether or not to grade or not to grade is a highly discussed topic in the discussion and conversation regarding homework and whether it should be banned or not. A quote by Lisa Manigon, I believe is how you pronounce her last name. She writes that homework should be independent practice for the student and that it should not require the parent's help to complete. I really like this quote and incorporated it into my presentation because her article really showed the value of what students should be focusing their attention on with academic success. That parents, though, can be a great tool for students to help them better comprehend a difficult subject, they should not always have to rely on teachers, parents, or even other friends to have them help them with assignments. Homework should be able to be used as a checkpoint, a guidance for students to see where they stand. But because there's the pressure of it being graded, they seek for outside help so that way they get the correct answer and not really focus on the process of how they get the answer. There's also been several research done about homework, and in the article where I got the previous quote, there was research about whether or not homework has positive or negative correlations in students' academic success. And they have come to find that it is quite negative and actually can harm a student's academic success and performance. So, what to do instead of homework or whether or not homework should be graded? Well, another quote by a lady named Kathy Vanderbilt, I believe is how you pronounce her last name as well. In schools in which homework isn't graded, it is still marked for correctness, and students still receive specific feedback. Students are still responsible for completing assignments outside of class, and some students still fail to complete them. I think this quote is important because it shows that they should be marked for correctness and given feedback to help them improve in the areas that they maybe were struggling in. This idea that they're being graded for what they do and not what they don't do teaches students responsibility, accountability, and gives students proper feedback. They need to learn that their actions have consequences, and if they want to do good on a test, which will be graded for comprehension, then they need to do the homework for practice. But other than that, if they feel like they know something or they choose not to, there shouldn't be detrimental restrictions and stresses given to the students because they missed one homework assignment. Homework creates a lot of stress for students, and that is because it is a very fast-paced assignment that usually covers a topic that was just recently learned and that students are expected to complete with 100% accuracy for a completed grade when they really don't understand the concepts that they had just learned. We expect students to get 100% on homework, which meaning that they do 100% of the work with 100% correct answers, but if they're still just learning the concepts and they're struggling, but they're trying, and we grade them lower for that, it could actually harm them and make them feel discouraged, not making them want to continue on learning the lesson or the unit ahead and kind of stunt them in their growth of learning. Homework is a global issue that affects multiple countries. At this chart, it shows how much homework students are expected to do in each country, and the US being one of the top 5, which just shows how crazy important homework is. So there's a lot of things about homework, pros and cons, but mainly the idea of banning homework is that it can reduce childhood stress, it can give students more free time, it can help students form better studying habits and work quality, and overall just help students learn quality over grades, that what they do is more important than the overall grade that they receive in a class. The knowledge that they are able to gather from their lessons is more important than an A-B status. These are all things that I was able to gather from a book called The End of Homework, and as reading a few chapters from the book, I was able to gather a lot. A lot of people argue that homework is the only way for students to check themselves, but there are multiple different ways that students can check themselves, and banning homework and replacing it for an activity that can be done at the end of class instead could actually help students be more active and engaged in the material, meaning that they will better remember it instead of cram studying also, which is another issue that homework can cause, is the idea of cram studying and just putting information in your short-term memory and then forgetting it as soon as you don't need it. So that's the end of my presentation. These are my references. I hope you enjoyed.